Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. Yes, it's me, it's Dan. It's throwback to transfer deadline day from a couple of years ago. Liverpool are expected to approach Bayer Leverkusen and formally trigger the 30 million release clause that will make Jeremie Frimpong the first signing of the club's summer recruitment drive. Not my words, the words of the best Liverpool journalist in the business, Mr. Paul Joyce. Dan, woo!
Exciting.
Moved quickly, hasn't it?
Rapid, much like the player. Actually,
yes.
Maybe that's why, in keeping with one of his main strengths. It has moved really, really quick. I suppose it's quite easy to explain away, and it's quite easy to work out why, because there's clearly been a long-standing interest, admiration in the player. And listen, he came onto everyone's radar, 18 months ago when he was pulling up trees at Bayer Leverkusen. He's a big part of what they achieved last season. And now, obviously, we know that Trent will be leaving. You'd imagine Liverpool might have known for a bit longer, and he might have immediate look to Frimpong. And I guess the beauty of Frimpong, and literally the reason we're sat here now, is that release clause, because it just removes any complications, it removes any negotiations, it just speeds the whole process up. So it's not a huge shock. And I think Frimpong's spoken quite a lot in the past about his desire to play in the Premier League again, have another crack at it. Liverpool have been mentioned a lot. So yeah, when you put all that together, all the ingredients, it's quite, like I say, it's quite easy to see why it's gone like that.
It feels like such an opportunistic signing for me. And we did a deep dive, which you can get actually for free, on Redmen Plus. Me and Josh did a deep dive on Frimpong and how he'd fit into Liverpool. You use the code CHAMPIONS as a club captain subscriber, and you can get that for free in the rest of the month's content. There'll be loads more as well. So yeah, the code CHAMPIONS on redmenplus.com, club captain subscription. So we did a deep dive on Jeremie Frimpong and how he would fit in after we looked at the Arsenal stuff the other day. Did a video with Paul and Steve outside the exhibition centre the other day on Jeremie Frimpong as well. I think some people got the wrong end of the stick with where I am with this. I am incredibly excited, but also incredibly intrigued, because it doesn't seem to match up for me how we're going to use him. Because, and I sort of said this, for me, you look at signings as almost plug and play. Jeremie Frimpong isn't plug and play the way that Liverpool play right now, is he? But he's got the speed, he's got the skill set, he's got the attacking sort of verve that completely changes, I think, that right-hand side.
It does, absolutely.
And it's exciting and intriguing.
I'm curious. I'm curious as to what it looks like, because you're absolutely spot on. When it became apparent, or even midway through the season when we weren't sure what Trent's future looked like, I think a lot of us were saying, well, if Trent does leave, it's quite clear to see that what Arne Slot wants from his fullback is different anyway. It probably is more of akin to Conor Bradley. That's certainly what we felt anyway. But now all of a sudden we're in this world about to sign arguably an even more attack-minded. I've spoken to people in the past few days about Frimpong who've watched him far more than I have, and somebody described him to me as having one setting, and that was forward. And that's all you need to know about him, really. And I literally had a conversation before, and whilst a lot of Trent's attacking play and what he wanted to do in terms of his output came from passing and his head up football, a lot of Frimpong just head down because he wants to run at people time and time again. But I guess if you remove yourself from what it looks like in terms of positionally, because I think you're right, how he fits in as a right back, I still can't quite work out. Whether we do something different at left back potentially, or whether we just back ourselves to dominate games, or whether Arne Slot even thinks he can improve him defensively because he's improved footballer since he arrived. I just look at it, you use the word opportunistic a minute ago, I look at it as that. Really, Liverpool have seen this 30 million quid, which is peanuts in today's market, for a footballer who essentially has world-class qualities. He's 24. You know what I mean? He wants to come to the football club. Most importantly, it's quite a straightforward deal to do. He's got raw pace, which is something we're severely lacking for me. So he covers numerous positions. You said it there. You can't really pigeonhole him as a right back because he covers the whole right side. All of a sudden, you might have a Mohamed Salah understudy back up. AFCON's coming. He might replace him there as well. And you've got an option to be a right back too. Like, whether you think it's perfect or not in terms of like for like, he's going to be the right back. It's exciting's the word, absolutely the word.
And obviously Liverpool have been linked with Florian Wirtz over the last we're approaching 24 hours for Florian Wirtz, I think, aren't we, in terms of when those rumours came out and stuff. It would be really interesting if we were to sign someone like him as well. I have my own thoughts on that because we've not spoken about Florian Wirtz yet. I'm really intrigued as to where he is, because again, this is where it comes down to it, and I think this logic applies for both Frimpong and Wirtz. we haven't used Harvey Elliott all season, and he's probably the player most akin to Florian Wirtz, and yet we're wanting to spend close to 100 million quid on a number 10 when we've had a number 10 in his mould, or certainly closer to his mould than anyone else, that we haven't used. It's like, here's where I came to this afternoon with it, and Frimpong's a perfect example, because for 2 days I've been thinking I don't really understand what he wants here and where he's going to fit in. Is it just that slot wins? Ignore Feyenoord. I've got an idea of where I want this team to get to. And I am playing with my 2 fullbacks that I've got, and I'll make it work. And when I get the opportunity to sign someone, you're going to see full-on slot ball. Because, like, these players change everything for me.
Oh, massively so. The quality that we're talking about here, and that's kind of what I fall down upon on the Wirtz to Elliott comparison, because I think you're right in terms of stylistically, in terms of the profile, they are very similar. And I love Harvey Elliott. I almost hate
he's not on the same level.
There's levels to this. There's levels to this. And Florian Wirtz is above and beyond for me. Like, he's breaking into, if not already, in the world-class bracket. And he certainly will get there if he hasn't. And whilst, again, I adore Harvey Elliott and I think he's a very valuable squad member, Florian Wirtz is a game changer. Like, he's unbelievable. You know what I mean? And maybe he's looking at Elliott. And Elliott's deficiencies and what Slot clearly perceives he can't do out of possession haven't really matched up in terms of what Szoboszlai's capable of, clearly. Elliott might bring a little bit more of that finesse and that guile, but Wirtz is the full package. He's absolutely world-class in possession. He puts a shift in that off the ball as well. Like, he's everything. Now, positionally, whether he can be the 10 or whether he has to operate in the left wing is probably where I have a struggle with Wirtz, if I'm being honest, and quite how he fits. But again, Liverpool just appear to be almost irrelevant of what looks like the good positional fit. Just go and sign the best in class. And these 2 examples are absolutely that.
No, absolutely. Obviously, Wirtz is 22 years old, isn't he? We haven't even mentioned, going back to Frimpong, he's homegrown.
Yes.
Because of his time at Manchester City's
academy,
well, isn't he? Like, yeah. So that's an interesting sort of thing to this, because Liverpool were flirting close to the level, I think, if you
we looked at it recently, didn't we?
If you look at who you expect to go out and whose contracts run out, some of the kids and stuff. So that's an interesting side point to all this, or sidebar to all this as well. But getting back onto Frimpong, obviously, discussions on personal terms, according to Paul Joyce, have taken place. He's keen on a move to Merseyside, and he will join up with his countrymen, Virgil van Dijk, Cody Gakpo and Ryan Gravenberch as well. Formal approach to Leverkusen, who travel to Mainz this weekend for the final game of the season, will follow. Heavy words from Paul Joyce. Can you comment on the validity of what Joyce is saying?
Doesn't get much more valid.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's simple
this
as that,
isn't
really.
any other website, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. And don't get me wrong.
This matters.
Massively. That's why we're sat here. But that's not to discredit those that have gone before him in the past 24 hours, because it was funny, because almost beyond that as well, 48 hours really, when it comes to Frimpong, it felt like at some point someone out there was going to come and shut this down, but it's never arrived. If anything, it's just been added to and added to and added to. And now Paul Joyce has arrived, because that was always the sticking point, really, in a little bit of time that's elapsed. Liverpool clearly keen on Frimpong keen on Liverpool, but there was never any mention, this was the point everyone was stressing, of Liverpool being willing to go to buy Leverkusen and put the money on the table. That's changed in the past hour. Paul Joyce has come out and said Liverpool are willing to do that. Now, I imagine the timing of it, they'll wait till after that final game of the season, I would have thought, because that's literally on the horizon at this point. So they'll wait for that. But listen, this feels like it's going to get rubber stamped, dotted I's, crossed T's pretty quickly. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we had confirmation of this early next week. And then I imagine the actual official confirmation when he becomes a Liverpool player will be the 1st of June, because of that mini transfer window that's going to open. So this is quick.
Quick indeed. Exciting times ahead over the next few days, certainly. I had a couple of comments, and we'll get into the comment sections as well, actually. So we've had Alexander. I think that Liverpool looked at the right-back market, rightfully decided that it's pretty bad, and got the best player instead of the best right-back, and let Slot worry about how best to use them. Great shout, Alexander. Great Tebbs. I think Wirtz is viewed as a false 9 instead of us buying a striker, potentially a new Bobby-type role with Dom just behind. Said this to you in the office, didn't I? Yeah, before. So I love this. I love this shout, Craig. Because I think Liverpool have looked best with a false 9 this season. It plays the strengths, obviously, of Salah and Diaz and Gakpo and stuff. But, like, if it was a choice between Florian Wirtz and Isak, personally, I'm going Isak. But, again, it's just really intriguing, because we're still learning a season in. We've won the Premier League. We're still learning about this manager and what he wants. And I find that so exciting, Dan.
Oh, massively so. I think in particular when it comes to the 9, because I don't think he's had the ideal suitor for it. You know what I mean? I think we saw a little bit of Diaz at it. Darwin Núñez was clearly ill-suited to that job. That's abundantly clear now.
Yeah.
Diogo Jota, I think, for a little bit, certainly early on the season, because he started the campaign away at Ipswich, I think everyone felt that he was the chosen one. But even then, his form was somewhat evaporated. So he hasn't even had a fair crack at it either. So we might never know whether he was the guy that Slot really hung his hat on. So I think we know what he wants pretty much everywhere. Jeremie Frimpong might fly in the face of that logic, but still, we know pretty much what he wants. But the 9, we're not quite sure yet. And for me, what's fascinating about that is when you look back, and we've spoken about this before, at Arne Slot's managerial career, the goals have come from the centre forward.
Yeah.
But now, has he arrived at Liverpool and gone, well, that's all well and good, but Mo Salah's there. Yeah. So I've got to find a way of facilitating and getting the ball to Mo Salah as often as possible. So it's a really interesting one. I still maintain on the Florian Wirtz 9 point, I still maintain that I would be in the market for a centre forward. Because I think you can get the best of both worlds, by which I mean you get 15 to 20 goals from your 9, 15 to 20 from your left winger, and then 25 plus, as always, from Mo Salah. I think that's possible. Yeah. I don't think that's out there.
No, I don't think so.
And whilst also still managing to get enough ammunition to Mo Salah, because admittedly, if you went and signed Benjamin Sesko, let's use him as an example, as your 9, I think he is goals, sheer goals. Maybe not as many goals as Haaland, but he's goals. He's raw, puts the ball in the back of the net, knows how to do that. Whereas if you got someone, João Pedro has been linked, for example, who I think is capable of sticking the ball in the back of the net whilst also facilitating. Isak is that tenfold. He's a wonderful footballer. Plus he's Premier League proven and some. So yeah, really, really interesting. But like I say, I think we're pretty much set on what Slot wants, apart from the 9. But I think we'll find out in due course.
Absolutely. And I should say as well, we got very excited talking about Florian Wirtz, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But it's not likely. I think it's fair to say as well. It looks like he sort of tentatively, I think, agreed to move to Bayern Munich, didn't he?
Yeah.
So what we're saying on the Florian Wirtz stuff, or what we're hearing on the Florian Wirtz stuff, just like everybody else right now, is that if he decides that he is going to leave Germany, Liverpool are going to be in for him.
That's exciting, though.
It's exciting, absolutely. You start going off in, I certainly do anyway, like all these mad directions and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, Florian Wirtz, where's the centre forward? Could it be Jonathan David to pair with Florian Wirtz? And do you know what I mean? On the free transfer of, is it Leon that he plays for? Yeah. And he's sort of like, well, okay, we spent 100 million on that. You haven't got the centre forward money. Is there a free transfer out there? Yeah, there is. Could you sort of almost still horses for courses it? Mm-hmm. It was Núñez and Diaz this season. Mm. It could be David and Wirtz or anything like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's other ways around it, isn't there? There's loads of different ways to work this transfer window.
A couple of things. I'll ask you first, if you were to sort of spend 120 million, let's use that figure, on one of Isak or, Isak or Wirtz. Isak, okay, interesting. And you mentioned, you used the expression horses for courses there. Do you think there's a world wherein you use Frimpong as a right back, in particular for games that you're expected to dominate? You're at home, you're playing X, Y, one of the promoted sides from the Championship. I can see you. And then you flip it on its head and you go to Conor Bradley for Man City away, for example. Do you think that's a remote possibility? Because I, like you, I'm trying to think of how you get him into the side as a right back regularly, and I can't quite work that out.
I'd flip it on its head. The complete opposite of that with Frimpong. I would play Frimpong in the big games.
Really?
Yeah. And it sounds stupid, I know, but the way that Liverpool dropped the 2 centre midfielders in the build-up phase against Arsenal, right? That for me was a showcase of how we're going to build up. Okay. And you're asking questions of their left winger then. Yeah. And instead of Trent always had that half and half thing where he took a position.
The starting position almost, like,
like the starting position was wrong.
Yeah.
How do you get Frimpong out and fucking joining Mo? And what does that do for Mo? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that for me is dropping 2 centre midfielders deep, getting Frimpong, little pass into them, running on the ball, on the halfway line, Ox 2017, straight down the fucking line, Mo going inside, getting into the penalty area, little 1-2 here and there. I've not thought about it loads, by the way.
At all,
and then straight into the penalty area. But it works either way. Don't get me wrong, it does, because Frimpong I don't think is a bad tackler. I think Frimpong is perceived as a poor defender because he's not asked to do it.
Okay.
So it's interesting. You spoke to the guy from Celtic today, didn't you?
Yeah.
What did he say about his defending when he played at a right back?
Yeah, reluctance was the word he used in terms of his defence. And listen, he was 18 years old when he arrived at Celtic, and he was gone before he was 20 by Leverkusen, snapped him up for 11 and a bit million. They're going to get a bit of windfall off the deal, actually, for what it's worth. But yeah, he just said he's reluctant. But what he did say, and I think we often sort of spoken about Kyle Walker, and it's different because I don't think Frimpong quite makes the mistakes that Kyle Walker's often made. But what he does possess is the same recovery pace and a willingness to get back and help out. The reluctance comes from it's not what he wants to be doing. He wants to be influencing game in the final third, which is what I think that'd be fine for Liverpool. Personally, I think we'll be quite happy with that because we've had that with Trent for time immemorial, haven't we? Let's be honest. But yeah, when he's faced up one-on-one, he said that's where he struggles. His one-on-one defending is a problem.
That's where Bradley's brilliant.
That's the difference for me.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I've sort of come to the conclusion to the back end of Jurgen's reign that would you rather know where you're going to be attacked?
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean?
You can plan for it then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point.
Do you know,
like
if you don't know how they're going to attack you, it adds another level of intrigue.
Yeah.
To stuff. Because I was honestly just thinking, why has he not solved this?
Yes, yeah.
And then it was like, maybe he wants to know where he was getting attacked.
Well, on that note, this is another potential solution I've sort of tried to fathom in the past few hours. Do you think there's a world that you go and get a more, conventional, out-and-out DM to get back and help a little bit in that pocket? 100%. Or just,
Yeah, 100%. I think we've needed someone who's going to be a little bit more of a press-resistant midfielder, whether that's an out-and-out DM in the Makaleli mould or someone a bit more like Zubimendi. I think it's the one skill set we don't have in our side. I do think McAllister can do it, but I don't think... Is it Vitinha for Paris Saint-Germain?
Yeah.
Fuck me. That is the type of profile of player that this squad doesn't have.
Yeah, and McAllister's good, but I don't think he's quite that. And he's brilliant. I absolutely adore McAllister, as you well know. But yeah, I don't think he's quite got that. And then the final point to how to get Frimpong into the side. And there's a lot of talk in a minute about left-backs, clearly. Yeah. A lot of talk about Kirkes.
Yeah.
But let's remove Kirkes from the situation momentarily. Just momentarily.
Okay.
Is there a conversation around signing a more hybrid type, like a Joel Harto who plays left-sided centre-half, left-back? Because then all of a sudden, if Frimpong's gone, you can just have a free. Robertson's done it. I don't think ever to quite the level that we'd like. If it was someone like Joel Harto, Piero and Capier, for instance, also from Bayer Leverkusen, something like that. Yeah,
potentially. You know, I think... I hear people in the comment section stuff talking about, is he planning for a three at the back here with Kirkes and Frimpong? And there's part of me that goes, kind of looks like it, but until you see it, you're never going to say, I think he's going to go three at the back. Although my mate did 2 weeks ago, actually, Aubrey, shout him out. He said, I think he's planning for this. But he also texted me and went, I'm also saying this so that I can look back and sound great, but I know the likelihood is I'm going to look like a dick after this text message. But long-time viewers will remember Aubrey used to do a show with us years ago and stuff. I think it's fascinating, regardless. He might just want 2 flyers. He might just want to play a little bit of Kevin Keegan, we're going to score more than you type of football. And like, I saw someone in the comments before saying we're literally going to score 7 goals a game, and we might well do, and we might piss the league. We might get 120 points. You never know. If Arne Slot gets his entire plan. As you can tell, I think me and Dan are pretty excited about this. The other one, obviously, that's not been mentioned is Getruda as well. Obviously, he can play right back, left back, centre back, DM.
Yeah.
Somebody like that who's slots known, he's had played more minutes for him than anybody, might be a good Joe Gomez style replacement.
Took the words right out of my mouth. It must have been while you were talking momentarily. Yeah, absolutely. He is. If Joe Gomez leaves the football club, go and get Gertrude. Now, I know he's had a bit of a tough time. Well, I say that. I'm not sure individually he's had a really difficult season in the Bundesliga.
He's lost minutes in the last
couple of months, and Leipzig they're really floundering, actually, for what they've been. I'm not sure how much you read into that. And as you say, Arne Slot will know him full well and he'll trust him. And if he does have a conversation with him, he'll understand more as why it maybe hasn't worked over in Germany. But yeah, I do think if Joe Gomez leaves, he would make so much sense. Because all the positions, the numerous positions you mentioned there, are all positions Joe Gomez has covered in recent. I remember watching him at Forest away when Darwin Núñez scored late when he started in the 6. Or Bobby Clark might have started and he came on, whatever. But he played in the 6 that day. So yeah, Gertrude to be a really, in terms of, I think Jeremie Frimpong is a little bit of this, just a really astute, smart, quality squad addition. Gertrude is probably a little bit more than that.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because the nerds at Liverpool and have got assign point differentials to players. It could well just be that the point differential of the extra goals that you score with someone like a Jeremie Frimpong in your team compared to let's say, for argument's sake, you might score 15 more goals, but you concede 6 more.
Yeah. Yeah. Take it.
The points, you take it.
Yeah.
And that's what the nerds at Liverpool do.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you this now. Forgive me, moments. Like, if he's going to sign, Jeremie Frimpong's going to sign. Do you think if we were starting a Premier League campaign in 2 weeks' time, is Frimpong the starting right back over Conor Bradley?
Honestly,
it's difficult to know because we don't know what it looks like yet.
It's so difficult. I don't know because I'm still so on the fence about does he actually fit us?
Yeah.
I can't get past that one for you.
Pre-season's going to be fascinating in that sense, isn't it? For me, yeah, he is. And I've got all the reservations that everybody else has about his defensive qualities. But I just think he's such a wonderful footballer. And I think if Arne Slot, Richard Hughes, and the data guys, the nerds, if they back him to be an adequate enough, suitable enough option and a viable one, then yeah, I think he is. And I love Conor Bradley, I do, but he's a couple of levels, a couple of years above him.
Fantastic. To check out the video that Dan did with, what was the guy's name?
Well, I've got one out with Tom English now, who's the chief sports writer for BBC Sport. I also spoke to Kevin Hatchard about Jeremie Frimpong last week, obviously the Bundesliga commentator. And later on, I'm speaking to a former teammate of his who literally played in the back four with him. So we'll find out exactly how reluctant the defender is.
He's got nothing left in his legs.
Basically, he's done. No, but that's coming on. I'm doing that later on tonight, so that'll be out not long after.
Okay, so get over to redmenplus.com. Use the code CHAMPIONS. Get yourself a free month when you sign up as a captain, club captain subscriber. Use the code CHAMPIONS. Get involved. See all of the good content, the deep dive.